You sitting across from her at dinner. She's upset again. Not because you forgot something huge, not because you betrayed her, but because your tone changed for half a second when she asked where you were. Now the air feels heavy. You're explaining yourself. Again. You're trying to stay calm. You're trying to choose the right words. And somehow, even though you came in wanting connection, you leave the conversation feeling like you just survived something instead. And in your head, it sounds like this. Why does everything turn into this? Why do I feel like I'm always one mistake away from drama? Am I dating someone who needs love or someone who needs constant managing? Am I the problem? Or am I slowly disappearing, trying to keep this relationship together? Here's the truth most people miss. What looks like high maintenance is often unhealed pain wearing the mask of love. And that matters. Because you're not crazy for feeling drained. And she's not automatically toxic just because she's hard to love right now. You're not failing at relationships, bro. You may just be dealing with patterns that were never named clearly. By the end of this video, you'll know the difference between normal emotional needs and deeper unresolved damage that turns love into pressure, closeness into chaos, and connection into work. Let's get into it. Most people believe a difficult relationship means one person cares more, needs more, or is simply too much. But the real truth is deeper than that. What you call clingy, reactive, controlling, or high maintenance is often a nervous system that has learned one brutal lesson beneath the surface. Love is not safe unless it is constantly being reassured. That's why this gets confusing. Because sometimes she doesn't look emotionally unavailable. She looks intensely available. She texts all day. She wants closeness. She wants reassurance. She wants answers now. But intensity is not the same thing as intimacy. And constant access is not the same thing as connection. Your partner's nervous system is reading you before her mind can catch up. A delayed text, a tired face, a small shift in tone. To you, those are normal moments. To someone carrying old wounds, they can feel like danger. And when safety leaves a relationship, the love doesn't disappear. It goes underground. It comes back out as control, as testing, as overthinking, as emotional swings, as unspoken fear disguised as demands. Most couples never get this. They try harder. They explain more. They defend themselves better. But here's what nobody explains. When a relationship is being run by unresolved attachment pain, better logic rarely fixes it. Not better arguments, not longer talks, not one more reassurance paragraph at 1 a.m. What changes things is understanding the pattern beneath the pattern. Because this isn't just about whether she's a lot. It's about whether love with her feels like presence or performance. So let's talk about the signs. 1. Reassurance never actually lands. Here's the part no one talks about. Some people don't ask for reassurance because they're needy. They ask for it because they cannot hold on to it once they receive it. Most couples think reassurance solves insecurity. So you explain. You comfort. You repeat yourself. You tell her you care. You tell her you're not leaving. You tell her nothing is wrong. But if her emotional patterns are shaped by old betrayal, abandonment, or chronic inconsistency, reassurance doesn't settle her nervous system for long. It leaks out almost immediately. That's the deeper truth. She isn't always asking for more because you gave too little. Sometimes she's asking for more because her inner world cannot store what you already gave. Her system keeps whispering, It won't last. He'll change. Don't relax yet. And if you're in it, man, you start feeling like no amount of love can survive the constant proving. The disconnecting version sounds like this. You already told me that yesterday. Why are we doing this again? The connecting version sounds like this. I can see this fear is real for you, even if I haven't changed how I feel. But we also can't build this relationship on me having to re-earn my place every day. That matters. Because this isn't a communication hack. This is what emotionally mature love looks like when it refuses to confuse compassion with endless emotional labor. And when you do that, the relationship stops feeling like a test you're always about to fail. 2. Small moments become emotional emergencies. This is where it gets really interesting. Most people in relationships don't realize that overreacting is usually not about the present moment at all. It's about old pain hijacking a new situation before either of you can name what's happening. So the issue looks small. You took a while to respond. You wanted a night alone. You seemed distracted. You forgot a detail. But the reaction comes in hot. Cold silence, sharp accusations, tears out of nowhere, distance, then pursuit, anger, then panic. Most couples argue about the event, but the event is rarely the event. The real truth is that her nervous system may be acting like a smoke detector with the batteries turned all the way up. It cannot tell the difference between he's quiet because he's tired and he's pulling away and I'm about to be abandoned. So the alarm sounds anyway, and inside her, something is saying, do something now before you get hurt again. The disconnecting version sounds like this. You're being ridiculous. It was one text. The connecting version sounds like this. I know this feels bigger than one text to you, but if every small moment becomes proof that I don't care, we're going to keep living in a cycle that burns us both out. Not louder conversations, not walking on eggshells, not trying to predict every trigger before it happens, but two people getting honest about what's actually being activated beneath the surface. And when you do that, the chaos starts losing its grip because the real wound finally has a name. 3. Love feels like constant performance. And this is the one most couples never figure out. You can care deeply about someone and still feel emotionally exhausted by them. Those two things can be true at the same time. Most couples assume effort is proof of love, so you keep showing up. You keep adjusting your tone. You keep monitoring your words. You keep managing reactions. You keep shrinking your natural self to avoid another spiral. From the outside, it looks like commitment, but beneath the surface, it can become a quiet erosion of presence. That's the emotional truth. A relationship becomes unhealthy the moment you stop feeling free to be real inside it. If she needs so much emotional management that you no longer feel relaxed, spontaneous, or emotionally safe, then what she's asking from you is no longer connection. It's regulation by proxy. And no partner can do that forever without becoming withdrawn. The disconnecting version sounds like this in your head. If I say this wrong, tonight is ruined. The connecting version sounds like this out loud. I want to love you well, but I can't do that from a place where I'm constantly afraid of setting something off. That's huge, because this isn't about becoming colder. It's about becoming honest enough to stop calling self-abandonment love. And that's the shift that turns a relationship from emotional surveillance back into something human and real. 4. She tests love instead of receiving it. But here's what nobody explains. When someone has been deeply hurt, they often stop receiving love directly and start testing it indirectly. Most couples don't catch this pattern. They just experience it as mixed signals. She pulls away to see if you chase. She gets distant to see if you notice. She says it's fine when it clearly isn't. She creates emotional tension, then watches what you do with it. Not because she's always manipulative in a calculated way, but because direct trust feels too vulnerable, so testing feels safer. That's what makes it so hard. Because beneath the attitude is often longing. Beneath the push is often fear. Beneath the wall is often the unspoken question, if I stop making this easy, will you still choose me? Her brain is quietly registering. If he really cares, he'll figure it out without me having to ask. The disconnecting version sounds like this. If you cared, you'd just know. The connecting version sounds like this. I need to be honest. When you want me to guess instead of letting me in, it creates distance between us. I want to meet your need, but I need you to trust me with the truth. Not mind reading, not emotional games, not proving devotion through confusion. But two people learning to tell the truth before the resentment hardens into walls. And when you do that, love stops feeling like a trap door and starts feeling like solid ground. 5. Her needs always outweigh the relationship itself. Here's the part most people miss. There's a difference between having needs and making the entire relationship orbit those needs. Most couples think the problem is how much a person needs, but the real issue is whether there's room for two nervous systems in the relationship or only one. If every conflict has to center her pain, her triggers, her reactions, her interpretation, and her repair timeline, then the relationship slowly stops being mutual. It becomes emotional gravity pulling everything toward one center. That's exhausting for you. And honestly, it's not good for her either. Because if she never has to make space for your experience, she never has to face the deeper pattern underneath her own. She feels overwhelmed. You feel erased. And they feel like a couple on the outside, while living two very different emotional realities on the inside. The disconnecting version sounds like this. You should know I'm more sensitive than most girls, so you need to handle me better. The connecting version sounds like this. I care about what you feel, but I also need a relationship where my inner world matters too, not just how well I adapt to yours. This isn't a trick for avoiding conflict. This is what it looks like when someone learns to love without losing themselves in the process. And that's when your partner stops feeling like a crisis to manage and starts feeling like a person you can actually build with. 6. Accountability always turns into victimhood. This is where it gets really clear. Most couples cannot heal anything if one person experiences every piece of feedback as an attack on their worth. So you bring up something small, a pattern, a tone, a way she shut down, a way she disrespected you. But instead of accountability, you get collapse, tears, deflection, reversal. Suddenly you're comforting the person who hurt you. Suddenly your pain is gone from the room. Suddenly the conversation is about how hard this is for her. That dynamic is deeper than drama. It usually means shame is running the show. And shame is powerful because it makes a person feel exposed so quickly that owning their behavior feels emotionally unbearable. So instead of repair, the system reaches for self-protection. Inside, what may be happening is, if I admit I hurt him, then maybe I'm the bad one. And if I'm the bad one, I'll be abandoned. The disconnecting version sounds like this. So now I'm just a terrible person? Nothing I do is enough for you. The connecting version sounds like this. This isn't me trying to punish you. I'm trying to stay close to you by being honest about what hurt. And here's what changes everything. Mature love is not built on being flawless. It's built on being reachable. Being correct matters far less than being repairable. And when that shift happens, the relationship stops drowning in blame and starts breathing again. 7. You feel more drained than connected. And this is the sign you cannot afford to ignore. Your body usually knows before your mind is ready to admit it. Most people in relationships wait for some dramatic proof that something is wrong. Cheating, betrayal, a huge fight. But often the clearest sign is quieter than that. You feel heavy after seeing her. You feel relief when she's in a good mood and tension when your phone lights up. You love her, maybe, but you do not feel peace with her. You feel vigilance. That is not a small thing, because healthy connection expands you, it steadies you, it gives you more access to your real self. Unhealed relational patterns do the opposite. They make you second-guess your tone, your needs, your timing, your truth. Emotional distance in a relationship isn't like a wall. It's more like scar tissue, built slowly through 100 moments where connection was replaced by management. And one day you wake up realizing you are present physically but absent emotionally. The disconnecting version sounds like this in your private thoughts. I love her, but I'm tired all the time. The connecting version sounds like this when you finally get honest. I need to tell the truth about what this relationship feels like in my body, because love that costs me my peace is asking for more than love should ask. Not chemistry, not intensity, not the temporary high of making up after another emotional crash, but a relationship where your nervous system can finally unclench. And that's the difference between being chosen and actually feeling safe. So if you've been watching this and thinking, damn, this is my relationship, hear me clearly. This is not permission to shame her. It's not permission to diagnose her. And it's definitely not permission to act superior. Pain is pain. We all bring something into love. We all have patterns. We all have places where we become hard to reach. But awareness changes your role in the cycle. You stop confusing dysfunction with passion. You stop calling constant emotional labor just part of loving someone. You stop romanticizing what is actually keeping both of you stuck. Because these aren't just signs she's high maintenance. They're signs that unresolved pain may be running the relationship from beneath the surface. And once you see that clearly, you have a choice. Not to judge harder, not to rescue harder, but to relate more honestly. This isn't a checklist. It's an invitation to become someone who can recognize the difference between real connection and emotional chaos dressed up as closeness. When you internalize this, you stop reacting and start responding. You stop abandoning yourself just to keep the peace. And the people you let close to you will feel that shift before you even explain it. These aren't tips for a better relationship. They're the beginning of becoming the kind of partner who values connection, safety, presence, and truth equally. Because real intimacy doesn't start when love feels intense. It starts when love finally feels safe.